And I can't wait to get my name changed and all of those records solidify. That would be nice if I can get on with a timeline and a experience where everything is all smoothed out. Today we're actually going to talk about authenticating the self, authenticating the soul. There's really some really profound special energies that are moving about the planet right now because we've been doing Source and I have been doing a lot of energy work behind the scenes, and now that a lot of those dark energies have been released from my timeline, I actually get to play a little with all my skills and my gifts. And so it's been really fun. So we're going to talk about that. I don't know what that means. I do have a few things that we just need to talk about. The origination of going back to source, making sure that that is our highest mantra, is to recognize now that a lot of things are breaking out and breaking down. That we always return ourselves back to the origination of source, of who we are as divine source creator. That's who we've always been. When we've even been our most ancient of times, and the heavens, we always knew that as above and so below, we knew that there was an essence. And so my being here is just solidifying that bridge. And I've always been that communicator, to know that there is an above below, but we are that essence that is continuing life. Hello, darling. Have you been feeling the energies? Have you been having any special visions? There's going to be some very profound things happen this weekend, I think, energetically and timeline. So just keep celebrating your timeline, keep celebrating your timeline. It feels wonderful to not have the vampires constantly pulling at my sacral and my solar plexus. So I feel really happy. It's a lot lighter, and I'm going to be able to focus on creating. I know that my teams and my teams and the guides, they're downloading things as we speak. The father has been working like crazy to, that's because not the father doesn't work like crazy, but they're showing me that the father has been moving things around to assure that the blessings that had been held off, the blessings that had been taken and stolen, are all being moved and shifted into different timelines because of the work that I've been doing, and because of the work that, of course, the Celestials and all of my beautiful clients that have been sending me. I just got an email from a friend of mine who does sound. And what this has to do with is all sound. Because we know that my vibration is also connected with Archangel Gabriel. Archangel Gabriel is also one of my higher aspects. And so Archangel Gabriel has always been a part of my sound healing, my tonal healing, or many of our ancient timelines. A lot of the Pleiadian and Lyran energies and Arcturian, don't want me to miss Arcturian. All of those energies we're going to be bringing back, into our healing, and I'm going to be a pivotal part of it. I have goosebumps everywhere. Yeah, it's going to be profound. Like God is just like God's just like my muscle. I always call him my guide, and he's just like moving shit out of the way, and the world is gonna, I'll be lifted in some way, and it obviously has to do with sound and tone, and the vibrations that I'm seeing on is many. So I'm just downloading channels, and we're also gonna do a 3-card. So why don't we do a 3-card right now? We'll do it. Look at the bottom of the deck. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that gorgeous? So I mean, it's divine feminine. I'm so happy. I'm probably gonna cry. So let's just go into our cards, and then we'll go into the channel. We're going to talk a little bit more about what we did yesterday, is returning back to the organic source, which will probably lead us into authenticating the soul or your source essence. So because of all the timelines that we've been on, they want to fly right in there. Because of all the timelines that we've been on as soul journeys, Source Creator is now authenticating who we are within our soul's divine blueprint, and within our soul's divine blueprint and who we are for the collective and who we've always been. Because obviously there's been certain things that had to be veiled. They had to be for safety reasons. There had to be because things, because of free will, we didn't know which way things would turn out, and which lineages would come along, and which soul contracts would level up. And we've been talking about the dark occult practices. A lot of the, thank you, my love. Thank you, my sweetheart. My life over here has been very, very difficult being homeless. It's given me, 6 years being homeless. It'll be 6 years December 31st. And of course, only the last 8 months have been like literally on the street because they took my car and my laptop and everything. I had a little backpack with some sweaters in it and they stole that. And so, but I'm safe, God always assures that I'm safe. So any donations anybody could send in would be really great. God's just moving shit out of the way to make sure that I'm lifted because God's had enough. And because it's time now, right? I've proven myself that I'm going to stand in no matter what people try to stop and what people think that they have direction over me. People don't have direct say over me. The other timelines and the people that wanted to continue running corrupt systems, they knew that my voice was powerful. They knew that the sounds that I would create would shift literally. So we're just going to go into it. I'm just all over the place because there's so much excitement, so please forgive me. So let's do our cards first so we don't forget, So again, the 10 of Wands as we're ending, we just had enough of all that heavy weight, which I can attest to. I'm done. I said, I'm done, Father. I can't deal with this homelessness stuff anymore. I deserve better. Oh my gosh, and the card I pulled out for the heavens. It's the Empress. Oh my God, it's going to be so powerful. That's the heavenly card right now. We're going to pull our cards and then we'll go right into the channel. Is the King of Wands. So the King of Wands is stepping up for the collective. And I am the Empress lifted above the King of Wands. Isn't that lovely? And then for Gaia, it's the Five of Swords. And the Five of Swords, if you can see the path behind, this to me, what they're shouting out to me right now, the Five of Swords is the deliverance of timelines. Because sometimes this card operates as the path of skill and talent. And he's got the swords that are with him. He's laying those ones down. That's been his journey. And he's traversed on the mountains. He's traversed in the valley, and he's got the water that's here. So he said, I'm done with this land. I'm moving on. I've got my skills. I've got my talents. So Gaia is surrendering certain timelines. That's really powerful. Really powerful. And then of course the Empress, right? The Empress is standing right there. She's got her nice little taut little belly, and she's of course got the children at her feet, which is just every mother's dream, right? All the children at her feet. That's always been a dream of mine on Christmas Day, have the children at your feet and singing songs. Such wonderful little memories. I love Christmas time. And then just at the bottom, is Ten of Cups. So we're moving into and then again, the Hierophant. I mean, what do we got? Everybody's being moved into position. The Hierophant, the 10 of Cups, we're moving into position. The 9 of Cups, dream, or the wishes and the dreams that everything you've worked for and everything you've moved into. Everybody will be a part of any blessing that I have. There will be those that know who they are. They will be a part of these blessings. So don't think just because if I'm blessed and you'll never see me again. No, I'm going to be in the public, and I'm going to be door to door, and I'm going to be in the trenches, and I'll be lifting everybody up. So, always know that whatever I'm blessed with from God, I will be blessing others. And just know that. And it's up to you to move within your heart space and continue moving within your heart space, because that's how I read energy. That's how I read the tribes that I want to deal with. Heart space, the Fool. So we're going to keep these. Oh my God. And at the bottom of the deck, oh my God, is the Lovers and the Star and the Fool. So how's that for Major Arcana? The Star, the Fool, and the Lovers. And the Lovers is about a decision, and we've already made our decision. Gaia said, yeah, timelines are gone. That's it. We're in our most sacred timeline. So I'm very, very happy. So wow, big energy. Thank you, Holy Spirit, for supporting us. So Gaia and the community and the heavens, it's going to be a huge weekend. So Cluedo, do you want to work out the numbers for today? For today, we've got 11, and then today's date is the 15. So 1 and 1 is 2, and 5 is 7, and 1 is 8. Manifestation day. So put that on our comments there. It's a number 8 day today, and 8 is my actual number 8, from what I know. I mean, because I don't know about my real birth date, but from what I know, the name that I have right now, Joanna L. Ross, legally, so-called legally, that's my birth. That's my life path number. Is a life path number 8, and so So that's why I tend to pick a lot of like phone numbers and things like that. I tend to pick a lot of numbers that have 8s and 7s in them because they're my favorite numbers. Okay, so let's get on with our topic here. Yes. Well, 8 is the infinity, right? And a lot of the work that I do is about the infinity. And so our topic today is we're going to harmonize it with our topics we were talking about yesterday, just to have a bit more fluidity. And we were talking about yesterday is because we're going to be having, Source was showing me that right now it is the shifting out of the wheat from the shaft. And so this is what we're doing. We're taking the ones that have done the work and the ones that are prepared, they are the wheat. And then the shaft still have that work to do, and they're going to go back to the ground and back to be soiled, right? And that's what, they've been reiterating over the past couple of years is how important is your soul's journey. It is the garden you tend to, and if you're not the gentle gardener, you cannot move forward into unity consciousness, which is what we've been talking about, for a very long time, and why as the divine feminine to come forward and to be her highest and her best, to start being the representative of leadership and coach and guide to the leaders as well, which I've always been. I never place myself above. I'm always a student, but I always wanted to present myself as also a coach to and a guide for all of the world leaders, so that we can maintain the highest and the best movement forward based on the Father's plan. And that is our best, because we don't know obviously what the Father has planned. And just to let everybody know how profound it is, and even I don't have words to explain what they're showing me sometimes, because we only have 3D words and we don't have the experience to where we're going, because we've never been here before, vibrationally, multidimensionally, and also consciously. We're cognizing what we've become and all the work we've done in transmuting the energies and allowing ourselves to know that we can release church and state and just have it be a part of our beautiful history. But we know that we must step into higher intentional order, higher intentional choosing of our intentions, of our heart, souls, journeys, so that we want to become the archetypes, and we want to keep maintaining our movement between all archetypes, right? We want to make sure that every part of the journey we're going to be every part of the journey, and we're meant to be that part of the journey. And when we can take away discrimination and judgment, because we're meant to be all of these wonderful things and take in that dodecahedron, which is what the tarot deck really does. It allows us to see the various energies through archetypal positions and through archetypal characters, to show us and to see how we're sowing ourselves through all of God's gardens, because it is a multi-dimensional experience. And God and all of your teams, like I've suggested in my posts, all we have to do is maintain who we are within our heart center, our center point, and then God will shift us to the dimension within this triad of universes that will be appropriate for us. Because I said to Spirit last night, in all of these shifts, I was saying, I'm not really sure what universe I'm in, because it feels completely different than the one I was in 2 weeks ago, when it was just, they were still doing magic on me and I was feeling it, and I was just said, I can't take any more of this raping of my soul. I can't, my system just can't take it. It's just been constant harvesting, and your body cannot just, groups and groups of timelines, people taking your light. It doesn't give you enough time to regenerate. It doesn't give you enough time to do the work you're meant to do, because you're always trying to make up and catch up your light, right? Right? You're always trying to catch up your light because everybody else is taking from you. So I said to Spirit, I don't know what universe I'm in right now, but it feels better than the one I was in, 2 weeks ago, with my ex and the coven that were still doing magic, still doing death plots on me, still doing their same BS, and still denying it. So they obviously have still not learned, about the grace of transmuting their errors, facing their errors, and coming forward to make right on their errors. They're still in that same position, and so again, I would have just absolutely been in demise. I would have died for sure. So there has to be divine intervention, because we are moving forward in the divine plan, and these people don't have access to me anymore. They still, as you saw yesterday, they're still throwing a lot of magic at me, but there's so much protection in and around me. But it still doesn't take away the fact that of course, having no home because of their suppressions and their withholding of my monies, the refusal to pay it back, the shadow government that has given these people access, these criminals access to my personal files, my medical files, my vibrational files that they don't have any right to. So I said to Spirit, I said, well, what's the outcome of that? And so Source just said, I'm taking care of all the karma on all behalfs. You're going to be getting your benevolence forward. It's going to look in different ways than you thought. And so I just know that, however the timelines I'm being moved to is going to be for the greater good of all of the triad of universes. Because I can't see and I don't know and I really don't care because it's too far advanced for me and it just takes up too much of my energetic space. But it's up to Source, to dictate out where and how each universe is going, as far as those that are could move into Christ consciousness but not yet, so they might be in the lower universe still learning those lessons. Then there's this universe where we are moving up and the 3D timelines are being pulled, and then that higher universe is which I do thread with those higher ones because I have to have that nourishment. And so I'm somewhere in between. Source just said last night that I'm in a different octave that I was, and we're just still preparing ourselves for entering the 5D, because I do have to stay back as long as I can to assist everyone else coming through 5D. So I get to explain a lot to everybody as I'm seeing it and I'm experiencing it. But again, please be patient with me because we don't have the technology in our words. We don't have the technology in our scientific equipment to give us clarification on exactly what's going on. We don't need to. I said, Source will just give us our channels. But we do want to have that technology and the innovativeness available for our healing modalities, because we are going to need it, and it's going to provide, we don't let the technology become more than we are. We always want to maintain that, our origination with organic Source will allow us to be the highest and the best, no matter where Source wants us to move in the time. Because again, my life story is proof I shouldn't be here, but I am. It's only thanks to God and thanks to my clients and all the teams that have been helping and assisting me. The federations that are constantly supporting me and protecting me. Got protection around me all the time. And my vision has also changed, so I'm seeing things as these energies and entities are flying about. So there's a lot of new energy, cosmic energy that's moving through me just to keep me aligned with these higher timelines. And so in these shifting about with timelines and things like that, I get to release and start writing my path over again, and know that Source has taken so long for me to unfold. It's like he's stretched me out as long as possible, because there are greater things for me that has a lot to do with leadership at the highest level, and that's never been done before. And so Source knows that in that, I do have to take a lot of detours. I do have to be okay going down to the lowest realms, which Anubis and I always do. But, when I first started doing that darker work, I didn't realize that I was so specialized at it. It would have been nice to know before I was like going through, PTSD trauma. But I can teach people now. I can show people the way, and not have any permission to any other energy or entity that is outside of you. And this is what we're learning on this planet, because a lot of the corruptions and things that have been done have been because we've given our power away to church and state and to bodies and to sanctions, and to the estates of the states of the social constructs that have never really had our best interest. So now we're seeing, through what I've gone through, I'm a living proof on many aspects. I'm a living proof on, the divine Messiah returning, and it can be in divine feminine form. And we are lifting and bringing rebalancing back for divine feminine, which is so needed. We won't be able to go through those gates without divine feminine being in her place, right? She has to be in her place for the rebirth. She has to be in her place because Gaia is a divine feminine energy. She is the little sister of the galaxy. So she does have to take her place and reclaim her power, and state that she is protecting the people as well as the people are now in oneness with her. And we will protect life at all costs. Now that we're going to be a sovereign planet within the galaxy, we have to take more of a bit of responsibility. We can't be playing willy-nilly of, nuclear wars and bad boys in the playground anymore. We can't play this, because once we get into the 5D gates, the Galactic Federations are going to watch us for a little while, but then they're going to start to back off. The Galactic Federation should not be playing babysitter on us, just so we don't blow ourselves up and we don't rip holes through the galactic, space travel with nuclear warheads and technology that's really bad for the planet and is bad for our travel. There has to be certain sanctions that we have to be aware of as a planet and planetary leaders about what types of technology and what types of warheads are the safest to use, if you're using any at all. It sounds ridiculous to say that, but I know even the Arcturians, there's a lot of there's a lot of combative energies in the galaxy and the universe. It's not always rainbows, right? The Arcturians have some of the most powerful, light ships and some of the most powerful technology ever created. Because they are there to protect. They are the grandfathers of our life and Pleiadians, and they do have that authority. If push came to shove, they do have that authority, and the people, the beings and the species in the galaxy know the Arcturians and what they carry, and so there's not a lot of that battle because they're such peaceful people, right? What you emanate is what you get back. But they do say, and they do have, because of a lot of the galactic wars, they've learned all their lessons and they've matured to grandfather state, elder state. So we're just going through our maturity. We're going through our sojourns of who are we in our playground? How much of our church and state has really, kept us enslaved, literally. Enslavement camps and the human hunger programs, the human hunting programs, MK Ultra, and all of these things that are actual things that have affected millions and millions, that are going to be coming out, that once we awaken and the veils are pulled off, we're going to start coming into, as our title is today, start coming into a reestablishment and an anchoring, a calling into space where we're anchoring that new essence of source, of who we are. We're not going to negotiate back and forth anymore. No, this is who I am. I'm not going to be handled. There is no more of these experiences, and this is our new higher order laws. We do have to abide by the universal laws. Those that choose, again, will state, and we're just going to state it frequently because we're now in the universal galactic bedding. Those that choose not to abide by the universal laws and what they perform and do within their vocational alignments, their businesses, if they choose to keep doing what they're doing, the galactic federations will not help them and their ancestors will not support them either, and protected on any level. So that means that if you're going to be continuing throwing out and doing those hate practices, entropy practices, you're open to any deity and any being, and the galactic federations and Mother, Father, God will allow that being to do whatever they want with you. And so you just have to know that when you are doing this, a lot of the reasons why these people in the Mason groups and a lot of these people that have been doing this global sacrifices and the global hate groups is because they've been getting away from it, because the density on the planet has been so low. Everybody turned a blind eye, and there was so much magic being done that nobody was learning how to reclaim their power, work with their fields and light. And so a lot of people were just numb and dumb and in that black magic fog. And it was even affecting some of the court cases. There was so much corruption that had been done. So again, my story and my path comes out as a trifold of many lessons, many things we've had to sacrifice ourselves through in my part, because I've had to play a lot of different roles and a lot of different alchemist roles, a lot of different judicial roles for the spirit realm and the spirit higher court realm, and also teach as much as I can, because there's nothing more important right now than if we're reestablishing who we are as a species, if we're reestablishing who and what we are through individuality as well as our collective in this galactic bedding, that we're stating in every way that yes, we're absolutely a part of the universal collective oneness. We do absolutely all the star councils of the benevolency of the Divine Father's plan. We never ever want them to leave us. Never ever. I know sometimes when I go outside and I don't see their light ships, it really affects me. I get really, I get my body's just like in anxiety. Where are they? Where's my light ships? Right? So I never ever want to have a planetary experience where my family is not there, my celestial family is not there. And I've always grown up with them. That's been my anchor, is the sky, is the stars, which would seem kind of, oxymoron, but that's the way it is with star seeds. We're meant to carry and anchor the angelic energies. We're meant to carry and build bridges with the angelic, celestial, alien energy, and know that we're all becoming multidimensional. We do have a lot to learn about the species allocation and the DNA fragmentation and those soul fragments that we're all integrating and we're harmonizing back into one. Those that are choosing to move forward with ascension, those that are choosing to know that their dodecahedron is the soul encompassment of all that they are, and they can play the various roles, that their dodecahedron will offer them, and bring into those harmonizations that you're always connected, you're never not connected. So even those that you've had finding right now that will be spoken about at a later date. Can you put Cluedo, the title of this episode? I'd like to start doing that too, so that those people that sign on late, that we're not losing track of the topic. Thank you, Holy Spirit. There's a lot of energy. So we wanted to make sure that when we're aligning back to source and we're moving into this higher dimensional octave, that's what they told me. It's an octave. We've just shifted into an octave because a lot of things were pulled out. Portals were closed. People's fields were getting really cleared and cleansed. I know that I'm doing healing on as many people as I can, in my private time, just because it helps when you're walking around with a much clearer field and you don't have those densities when you wake up in the morning, right? So I am sending a lot of light to the collective and a lot of beautiful light to all of the 2 beautiful clients that donate, and I want to say thank you so very much. You're so very sweet. Thank you so much. Maybe I'll be able to get a new backpack if there's a donation that comes in. I would really love any donations. I really need equipment. I need to get a new laptop. I need to get a new phone. And my credit bureau and everything that's been withheld because of the monies they've been withholding and refusing to give back to me, it has put me against the 8 ball that I'm just breathing through every day, because I can't do anything about it, until the courts give me my fucking money, right? And these people have been still playing the games they're playing. They refuse to see me in a leadership role, but God doesn't care. They're like little ants. So unity, consciousness, and then as we're moving into these new octaves, understanding and discerning what are your distractions and why, to get too distracted with electronics and technical. We want to keep inventing ourselves through the organic placement of our source essence as much as we can in every day and every way, because again, we're going to be speeding up on this new octave, and there's going to be a lot that will come at us as our fields awaken, which many of those that are new on the path of awakening, they're now sensing and they're now experiencing that there is a lot in their fields that they're finding it hard to find grounding and peace. And environments they used to be in are now really anxiety ridden because their fields are a lot more turned on. Their psychic abilities and their psychic gifts are turned on. They're becoming a lot more, they're saying right now, many of you that have come from many species within, again, Arcturian, if you have a lot of your Arcturian DNA, as well as the Syrian, again, your Pleiadian, this is all celestial driven. Because you've been so resonant focused, your body has been resonant tuned, your body has been sound and harmonically tuned, that is going to, as these gifts and skills get activated in this stage of your ascension, you're going to want to start honoring and bringing peace and bringing reflection and observation and practice with what you're feeling and what you're moving through with sound. Because you're going to be finding that your environments are going to be a lot more agitating. And this is just our progression into evolution. We're going to want to be in nature more. We're going to be wanting to do events that are more nature oriented, that are more sound and healing oriented. Our technology will be driven more towards healing and technology in those regards, more natural, virtual, nature experiences, and really coming into connection with, they're saying right now, because of the Schumann resonance, that it's also affected a lot of our, how we've been feeling anxiety. So our bodies are doing as much as it can, right? Our bodies are trying to process and transmute as much light as it can. But we have to be the commandmentship of it, right? We have to be the commandmentship to say, my body is going through a lot right now, so how can I help it? And give yourself that extra time. Thank you. The authentication, yeah. So the authentication, going back now to what we were talking about yesterday, is just that returning back to source, returning back to source. So what source is doing now is that authentication is that, as we've said, is that shifting out of all these different timelines. And because of the work that you've been doing, and you've had that refinement, you've had that, the wheat and the shaft, separating itself. So now everything that's working in your field, kind of feels like this. It's a bit more refined, right? It's a bit more refined, and you have more clear energy coming in and out. You're working with your fields a lot more. And, I show this to you on every one of my episodes on how to work with your fields, how to send that light back and forth and start clearing and cleansing your fields and do that healing on yourself, calling in those light energies, start working with your youthfulness, start releasing patterns and beliefs about aging, about disease, about all of those things that we've been just entrained in, and we don't have to. We can just have a higher entrainment. And that's all up to us. It's our discerning and decisioning, which is authenticating who we are. So as they were saying before, we're authenticating ourselves more in our celestial DNA as it's becoming more active. And so right now, the focus over the next 3 or 4 months, which we'll have to also take care of, because usually this time of year, we're always out doing a lot more visiting. So take that upon your body and just relax into the stressors of the season and just maybe let go of a few events, or maybe have the events that are perhaps organized in a different way. Have it as a nice movie night that's very calm. Instead of having the music loud and a lot of extra people, maybe have more intimate gatherings. Maybe have more, if you're in warmer places, have the gatherings outside, maybe do a half an hour of meditation, quiet time. And then you've got the kids to get up and run around and go in the pool and all of those different things. So you can plan it in different ways where people are actually being healed at your events, but you're also setting the vibration for healing and for higher vibrational connection with your families and whatever it is that you've got planned. But you can start doing and planning these things. This is also going to, so they're showing me, this will also take part and parcel to how businesses and set socio-altruistic structures will be also looking at how they're operating, because they're finding that the energy of the people and the health of the people will be taking its toll. And so people will have to make decisions because the way that they had been running in 3D, dog eat dog world, fight or flight, because people, again, the light intelligent wisdoms was not being taught. And you can only get behind the 8 ball so much before people do start reacting in that fight or flight. There's only so much the body can take. And if you're not healing those energies of repression, if you're not healing those life force flow, if you're not dealing with the expression, that creates suppression and depression. And when that depression and suppression gets down so much, and you're pushed and you're pushed and you're pushed and you're pushed, like some of these collective global hate groups do, they push a person until they react. They push a person until they become the demon. They push the person until they become the devil itself. There's only so much that a being can take, and they're horrible programs. That's exactly what was done to me. They deconstruct you on every way, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially. They deconstruct you. It's very systematic. They pull apart you on every level, and then they do their warfare on the various chakra intentions. They do the various warfare on, having the groups and the gangs that go in and start ripping up your financial life with false ID, false fraudulent bank claims, and all of the things that are done on the back end. And they have people making up the paperwork. You're not even aware of any of it. Then they have the other black web where they're making money on that exploitation of you, where they're selling your name back and forth to different handlers, to different debtors. If these cults and covens owe money to their bookies, if these cults and covens owe money to the various cults that they have not sacrificed, or they have not come through with their hate crime, or they've not come through with their kill, this is really out. It's like a human hunting machine. If they don't come up with their kill, they owe their bookie that money. And so they will sell you, they will sell their children, they will sell their wives to the various bookies, and then their bookies are doing the harvesting off of us, and they're selling us again to another person that they owe money to once they've harvested off of us. So the children and the women are being used as just battery agent, life force agents, and you've got absolutely, there's only you in source. So if you're not working with your energy, a lot of these people don't make it out. I'm lucky I had the wisdoms, the skills, and the knowledge, because of my my expertise, because of my teaching, that I was able to do a lot of the protection work and rebalance my energies and call my energy back in and teach everything that I'm teaching. But I said I think it's reconnecting. There we go. Yeah, it's reconnecting. And so, my channel is still shadow banned. So God is moving me up and moving me forward. So God is authenticating me. This is what authentication means, because I've always returned to source. I've always returned to my organic state, because I've never really fit in with the superficial 3D, life. I've had my journeys through it, and I've learned my lessons in various ways of setting my boundaries, reclaiming my voice, reclaiming my power. And I had to work up the ladder, the Jacob's ladder that Source wanted me, because Source had all these plans in these different jetting off directions of timelines. Because I serve the multiverse, and because I'm so involved in many of the celestial experimentations, for hybrid species, for planetary life, for planetary evolution, I'm so committed to Mother, Father, and the Father's plan. Various of the Christ consciousness, research that we're doing about light and how light affects the brain and the brain enhancements and brain functionality, how we're able to help the autistic, the various, colors of the rainbow. We're going to be doing so much research and development. We're going to be learning so much about who we are, and we're coming into a real happy exploration about our authenticating from outside of church and state, because it hasn't served us. They haven't defined us in any way that is accurate. They haven't allowed us to be fully expressive and illuminating in who we are in any way. We're not going to stop. I'm not going to stop being who I am. It doesn't matter if I fit in with the social norms. It doesn't matter if I fit in with what is considered, age appropriate, or, whatever the ideals are out in the social structures. I'm here to just be exactly who I am. I'm here going to do working on my health and my body because I love myself. And I don't want that responsibility given to anyone else. I would never give my body over to anyone to make it anything the way that I want it with my teams. My teams know how sensual I want to feel. My teams know how beautiful I feel with all the goddess energy in my timelines. Again, I do everything in the organic return to source, because source knows all of the timelines have been a divine feminine goddess. I'm now bringing back to life with Isis and many of the Egyptian timelines that we've opened up with that energy that when we moved a couple of weeks ago. So I understand that as a part of my soul's energy, and because I have such a rich and abundant soul, I want to teach everyone else, like, you can authenticate yourself and looking at the dodecahedron in all the facets of ways that you can, but now start saying that what parts of church and state is no longer authentic with you anymore, and then start rebuilding and realigning. And then source creator is the one that's moving you on all these different timelines. Slipstreaming is what I've heard. And so that's just part of our channel today, is that the slipstream, did I said that right? Streaming. The slipstreaming that source is doing for those of us that will be pulling the collective, because our energies are the catalyst for the rest of the collective to come with us, right? So we're breaking the way, we're breaking the shaft of the wheat kind of thing. We're showing humanity that this is where we're heading into this galactic bedding. These are the universal laws that we're moving by. We're now having this do unto others as others do unto you, but now we're going into a higher order, meaning that your soul is a part of this universal experience. You're responsible with the heavens of your soul's blueprint, and that soul's blueprint is responsible with your collective on how you operate within the collective, your offerings, your gifts, your skills, and your talents, and then also Gaia. And we're going to be much more informed and connected and enmeshed with Gaia, because she is so much with the Schumann resonance and everything that has been adjusted with her. Your perfect dimensional timeline will be on that vibrational thread Gaia is offering to you. So again, your responsibility is your core vibration. That in such will assist you in moving into the timeline that is right with you on the planet that you're on, because we always have to know that our vibration is planetary, no matter what down the road. If we're planning to go to, say, Pleiades, one of the hot spots in the Pleiades that will be vibrationally ready for us, and we will be ready for it. So we have to understand that we have to prepare our bodies for that type of time and space travel. We are releasing time, but for those that have not been on the path for a while, we have to still put time in there, because it's a way for them to work around that multidimensionality within their brain. It's not going to be linear. We are releasing linearity every moment. And I can tell you that, and I can attest to that, because again, just the last couple of things that have been happening since the last 2 weeks. Again, I said to Spirit, I don't know what universe you've got me on, because it's very difficult for me. And they're just like, yeah, get over it. You've been in a lot worse with a lot less, Celeste. And we want to talk about that. We want to talk about those planets of devastation that we've been through. And I went on there as an ambassador of peace and to assist the planet in rehabilitating itself. And so what the devastation was that the planet was so devastated from the war and the resources being stolen that all of their people that were there, that were left there, it was just dirt, and I had showed up in my light ship, and I was like, okay, well, I was doing that team building, right, as if you're going into the end game of a series, right? You're going, okay, the huddle, everybody's in the huddle, what do we do now? And so I went there with, everything in my toolkit, and basically just me, my toolkit. And I'm just feeling the energy of the people in the society and in the civilizations that have been left with absolutely nothing. Their planet had been raped dry. And especially with me coming out of my experience, your Akash and your teams and your higher self will offer you those glimpses of your Akash so that you can come and bring it to wherever you are in this. I'm just giving it to you how I see it as a conduit. This is our current universe right now. And if this is the 5D that I'm entering into, because I've done my claiming of my heart and my body and my soul and a reclaiming of my destiny, I was able to have that higher perspective of when I was an ambassador on another perhaps universe where their planet had been devastated. And I was able to see that I did hold that similar role in reclaiming of my power, and I only had my gifts and my skills and my talents with Source Creator, knowing what I knew. I'd done this before, but what it was different was that the people were in such despair. And you can't, as we said in my videos a couple videos back, you can't change, and your reality won't change around you unless you choose at the very purity of your heart and soul that I'm choosing with all my heart and soul for the Source Creator and the universe to assist me in creating these timelines of change and abundance and nurturance and nourishment. Because what that civilization needed was nourishment. But as any good leader knows, you need that nourishment vibrationally, you need that nourishment emotionally, you need that nourishment life force. Understanding life force is so pivotal in our going forward. It should be one of our base foundation teachings in the healing and moving humanity into higher intelligence. I know, just going to take a little aside. So Cluedo, can you remind me what I was just talking about, about the planet? You remind me? Just as an aside, I know many clients that I have helped heal and move into a different trajectory of timeline, moving them beyond depression. And most of them that have come towards me, they have all the same pattern of their life force completely being shut down because of their depression, and their depression because of their life force. So it's a double-edged sword. Because of how they feel about themselves, and the mind starts to run patterns of the pattern loop in depression, right? You go to that last karmic experience and that wound that didn't get healed, right? So whether it was they weren't good enough, I didn't have enough, I wasn't smart enough, I wasn't this enough, I wasn't that, and they start running that negative behavior loop. And of course, nothing in outer reality, they don't have anything that ever resolves depression. You know, depression on its opposite end, if you look at depression as the negative, and the positive on that is the expression. There are things within that being that needs to be expressed, and you need to get it one by one and by one, and then do the daily path work. But depression is equally responsible for expression. And that's why our freedom of expression is so important to the healing of humanity. And it's connected to, most often than not, all depressions. And then again, on top of that, because of how they feel about themselves, because of the pattern loops that they're creating within themselves, it then you know, affects the dopamine and all those other chemicals, interactions and chemical reactions that go on. That goes right back down to how you're feeling about your body sexually. Are you moving your own life force energy? And this is why we talked about in many of my videos, getting used to who we are, balancing our divine feminine masculine energy, talking about trans, getting used to these ideals about how the health of our body is and the health of our movement of our energy. And we are the commandment ships of it. And do we have a healthy relationship and connection? Again, everything that we've been talking about for all of my 800 videos, we keep going back and we keep reiterating that these healing practices work. You know, the higher light intelligent practices work. There is nothing greater and more profound right now than our connection. And it begins with the connection within each and every one of us as being, again, authenticating who you are as source. We are multidimensional. Okay, so in this multidimensionality, I'm authenticating that this is who I am now. This is who I choose to be. I am directing myself in a trajectory of a higher vibrational timeline. In this new authentication, it's like a program. I'm going to if I look at all of me, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and this is how I do a healing session with you. If you call me and we do these healing sessions, we do it as a multivibrational, because I am a vibrational healer. We look at all that you are as a multidimensional being. And we start authenticating you and start clearing out those things. And then you go away and you do your homework and you look at the beliefs and patterns, you look at the perspectives, and then you start to higher vibrationally and train yourself. See, all of these things, you know, what I've talked about, you know, that's your daily path work. All of these, you know, intellectual properties that I've created is because I did the work. I have to draw what I'm seeing, right? Then the source moves you through this, right? This is about your gifts, your skills, and your talents being activated. You getting in the elevator is you actually drawing it out so that you have your intellectual property and you can start becoming that higher teacher of yourself. And then doing your daily, your daily multidimensional physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, sexual, financial. These are all aspects of you that make you up as a multidimensional that you're authenticating, but you're not going to move in a higher vibrational entrainment. You want that higher vibrational entrainment with you and Source Creator at that center, and it's just your engagement with Source. That's all that matters. Your Source engagement is all that matters. That's all you need. That's all I've had to survive. Going through everything I went through, that's all I've had to survive is just me and Source, returning to Source. And that's what they, in those cults and covens and the societal breakdowns and the societal slow dagger, if you will, that's what it was called, the slow dagger, and the MK Ultra and all of the different systems and tools that they went to destroy you on the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, sexual levels. On all of these vibrational levels they went to destroy you. Their intention was to take that Source out of you, because they wanted to use you as a vessel, and they wanted to use your gifts, your skills, your talents, because they knew who I was spiritually. They knew the lineage that I come from. They wanted to rape. I mean, they had many different plans. Although they weren't understanding the higher order. They weren't understanding, the dynamic that I float within, that I've earned, right? There's lots that was misunderstanding. They didn't understand, my soul's journey, what I had claimed on my own, claiming my own destiny, recalibrating myself, re-authenticating myself, and then moving into the arena and energy that I choose with Source Creator. That's all that matters. You and Source Creator, Source will move you to whatever timeline. Source will make sure that you're protected. Source will make sure that your gifts and skills or talents are activated. Source will make sure that there's people where they need to be, when they need to be there. Yeah, that's you're working with Source. So that's why it is the only important thing, and it's your connection. And if you're not working in that connection, all of everything else just falls, it just starts deconstructing, which we see in our physical reality. Because church and state doesn't teach, they don't offer, they don't empower, they don't inspire connection. They are run by fear-based instructions, domination instructions, misogynistic, oligarchic instructions. So we have to look at the opposite. If that's the end of the infinity that they've been working on, we have to entrain our society, just like I went to that planet. Thank you for that planet of destruction. Just like I went to that planet, the people were absolutely in despair. The people just wanted to check out. And of course, their leader was saying, I've done what I can do, but I don't know what else to do, because the leader was just at a loss, right? Everybody was in despair. It's because that vibration is like that group think. It just brings everybody down. So then they brought me in, and what we had to do first was we had to work on that vibration of the people. So we had to then reinstill and re-engage and re-authenticate our oneness back to Source. That is the only way. You can throw all the chips and bananas and pop and, gold bracelets, all that you can throw them all. You throw them the big shiny stuff all you want. If you're not going back to Source, if you're not going to reorganize yourself in the organic state of being Source Creator, if you cannot turn on who you are in the divine relationship, these are all my downloads. Nobody is allowed to use my work. You have to pay me, and you have to get authorization to use my work. This is my intellectual property over many, many years of doing what I do with Source Creator. This is how we heal humanity. Out of many of the travesties and the separations and the discriminations and the deconstructions of who and how and what we have been. But now we know better, and we're going to do it right this time. We're going to honor our celestial families and all of our aliens that we are is within our DNA. And we're going to start honoring that we are these higher vibrational beings moving into these higher trajectories of higher timelines. And yes, it's not going to make sense, which we wanted to talk about as well, that a lot of these timelines that I've been seeing, they don't make sense. The linearity is just gone. So because Source has moved me to that vibration, because I've done so much work, the darkness and the leeches were cut off. All of those beings that were harvesting off me were cut off. So once they get cut off, that totally changes the vibration of my field, because I'm not being sucked dry every hour on the hour by people that are paying people around the world to use me as their manifesting agent. I now have my light back. It's me, it's my light. It's my fucking light, right? I get to use my light. But we now have to look at where and why and how did we get there? Where and why and how did the belief systems get us to a hunger hunting machine game where we're just being pumped through machines of death and killing and selling and trafficking and trading and organ trafficking and organ harvesting? All of these things are very real, and they go on, and we will have to face it as we cleanse who we are bringing ourselves back to the authentic version of Source, because that's all we need, that's all we ever needed, and why my path was so important to all of the collective. There were no fancy tools, there was nobody beside me, it was just me and Source. That's it. And from 45 people up to 200 people were all involved in taking their practices, physically, mentally, government, abuse of power, abuse of technology, abuse of information, abuse of my birth records, abuse of everything that had to do with me. They wanted everything suppressed and play that Truman Show game. They had the veils of who and what I was. They had the veils of who and when I would be found out by the collective. They had the veils of any government body or any financial body thinking that I was dead or that I was a porn star, I was really, really sick or insane. I mean, all of these stories they were in charge of because they were feeding off of the benefit of my spiritual ranking. They were feeding off the benefit of my vibrational ranking, my spiritual light ranking, because again, my light affects all that is. What we want to go back to is that now that all of those soul leeches, harvesting vampires are now cut off, my vibrational soul now gets to affect the timelines, it gets to affect the land, and now gets to affect everything that is the resonance. So this is why we're going to see the shifting and the shakings of things we can't quite understand. You know, they're really, you know, like lights going on and off and technology going on and off when you're in those spaces and places. And the linearity of stories are not making sense because God is shifting you and God is making you in that vibrational timeline and just dropping you exactly where you are going to be most authentically efficient, right? Because I've said to God all this time, I said, how efficient is it using your best people for like this living in the street? You know, I have that conversation with Source every day. You know, how I say to the Galactic Federations, how efficient is it? You've got one of the best people on the planet here, and I'm fucking homeless. How okay is that? I have these conversations every day. I said, if I'm your best people, I should be out getting research started. I should be out getting, you know, all these things. You know, so now they're just saying, okay, enough is enough. They were giving enough time for the people in all of the lineages because they weren't going to have another way back in. And that is a lot for a lineage to take. It's very, I mean, I wouldn't want to be them in any way. They've lost their right to Christ consciousness. There will be a lot of their species that just cannot evolve. They cannot evolve. They've lost their opportunity. The doors and the windows are closed. They'll never get to come back into light. And we have to really think about, again, if I was the ambassador coming to this planet that was going through various levels of devastation, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, technologically, all of these things that humanity's going through, and yet the leaders are still doing bombing back and forth to their little cousins and their brothers across borders. It's completely 100% unnecessary, it's immature, and it's juvenile. Absolutely 100% unnecessary. If you step up and you look at it from the higher perspective, and the leaders actually sat down and looked at what they were doing and how they were doing it, and they had a few months of conversations and political conversations with people like myself, they would see how horribly they have been leading their so-called people. They've been leading them into demise. They're walking their people off the cliff. This is what the leaders are doing. And the leaders are responsible for maintaining and sustaining the people's money. So if we look back at my case, for 50 years, the people's money were partly responsible for the millions that were spent to try and suffocate me, subjugate me, and sabotage me. Those monies were paying official people, the feds, the CIA, the FBI, and various government aspects. The fellow that came out to jack off in the Tesla next to me, it has nothing to do with Tesla. Right? It's just the car that he drove. The fellow that parked next to me in the Tesla that jacked off twice, the same guy, same vehicle, same experience twice. He was a government employee, and he was paid. That's the shadow government. The shadow government had their agenda when I was born to ensure that there were certain navigations that I would not move through. They paid people to take me out. They paid people to ensure I would never, ever remember and click on my authentication. My codes are now clicked on. Those cogs in the wheel are now clicked. Right? I'm authenticated now. And what does it mean to authenticate? So let's take a deep breath. We're going to take a deep breath, and this is our divine sacred heart, right? The triangle at your heart space. This is the divine sacred heart, and then your solar plexus is right underneath it, right? So place your hands there. We're going to authenticate ourselves in this new timeline. And authentication means that you get to reclaim your power, right? Which is what I've been doing. My path is my proof. My path is my testimony. My path is all things that God is placing me in the right timelines. And I'm going to be placed around the right people that can assist me moving the Divine Father's plan forward, right? Because we have higher intelligence now. We're now seeing that everything of church and state been doing isn't working. So how can we move forward in the higher vibrational ways of allowing the Divine Father's plan? Father knows what Father's doing. Can we all just fit into our normal roles, and can we pay attention to our own paths? Can we get out of everybody else's lane? And can the boys in the playground start playing nicely? Put away your egos, put away your sticks, and really start getting back to building bridges in higher vibrational intelligence. We cannot even reach higher vibrational intelligence through our pineal and through our light systems. We cannot reach it if everybody's acting like little children. And your people are devastated, and the energy of your country is becoming more and more devastated. When you reach a state of despair for your people, the chances of coming out of that on a multidimensional level as we're moving through ascension are going to be harder and harder and harder. And again, if those world leaders saw it from a higher perspective, there's no way they would have even set the first bomb off. Again, entropy. Those leaders are moving their country, they're moving their country into entropy. And their people know it. Their people are consciously aware, they know it. That is why they're at despair. There is nothing that they can do because their leaders are acting as the most abhorrent, immature, misguided, ignorant. With the level of intelligence, with the level of resources on our planet, it does not matter any back histories on any other level right now. The slate should be wiped clean on every country. There should be no reason for countries to be at war. There's no reason for the level of intelligence and the resources we have on this planet. There is no reason for any country or any so-called United Nations to take advantage of any peoples in any way, that they are left so vulnerable and they are left so raped and they are left so abhorrently taken care of. This leads the people into despair because the people are not left with, as my story tells it all. I'm left with absolutely no money. I'm left with no resources, with no help or no support besides the 1 or 2 clients that assist. Your finances are drained, your platforms are drained, your platforms are hacked, your platforms are spied on. There's stalkers in every parking lot I go to. I walk around because I'm homeless. This is the state that they're putting their people through. It is absolutely enforced poverty. It is enforced desperation. It is enforced human abuse. It is enforced black market underground. They are enforcing humanity to go into immediate entropy because there is so much disconnection. There's no relationship. There's no connection. They have no connection with source. Zero. They wouldn't know multidimensionality if it hit them in the nose. They wouldn't know their higher self if it hit them right in the face and said, "Hi, I'm your higher self." They wouldn't know that. This is the ignorance level of leaders on the planet. We have to wake up. So if your people are in despair, and they are. There's homeless people left, right, and center. They're in despair, and many of these homeless people have been enforced into their homelessness. Just the same situations like me. Their families and their cults and their masons and their high elite positions are saying, okay, we're gonna swarm her and we're gonna surround her and we're gonna start deconstructing and we're gonna start systematically abusing her on every side. And then we're going to slowly start picking her away. We're going to start isolating her. We're going to pay people in court to lie on her. We're going to pay people to lie in court about the POAs, about who she is, about her defamation. And we're going to do all of these systematic attacks so there's nothing left of her. And then she'll deconstruct from source. And then she'll be so depressed. She'll be so in despair. She will never rely on source ever again. And we're going to take over her spiritual gifts and talents. And then we're going to take over her inheritance. Everybody had it all worked out. Everybody of those 200 people were always going to get a piece of my money. And then they were going to have these special little rituals where they would drip my blood out of me and they would all drink my blood and they would cut me in million pieces and they would wear pieces of me on their neck. I mean, there was just disgusting things that these people had planned. Masochistic sadists. They had no idea who they were. Still don't know who they are. Most of them are still not doing the healing. This is what their plans. They talked about these death plans. and the governments and the Calgary police and the various policing, the various shadow governments, they all knew. Right from the top down, they knew what they were doing. They knew the directive, they knew the hits, they knew the guy coming out to the beach to jack off. They had planned these things. It's not like my life looks like this because I forced it this. I work 24/7. That's how I said, why I came forward to teach. You know that your life is being affected by gangs and groups of people in the systematic abuse, in the shadow governments, in the entertainment industry that have been harvesting off you for 20 years. All of these things are evident when you're not making a penny and everybody around you is elite. How's that okay? Your name's being traded back and forth in the blackground underground. Everybody's making a buck off you and you got nothing to show for it. And yet you're the one doing the work. You're the one coming out with the ideas. They take your ideas, they go run it, they make a fake AI page, they run it through AI, they make a fake AI page, and all of their little cults and covens that pretend that they're spiritual, they pretend that they're all-knowing, they pretend that they can read cards, they can pretend that they stand in front of the church and they're all-knowing. You're not all fucking knowing. You're thieves. You're criminals. And then in their private time, they run satanic rituals underneath the church. They run satanic rituals in the forest. They run satanic rituals and start luring children, start using the children's light because, sometimes the women escape. This is actual things that happen in these communities and in these cults and covens. The cult and coven from Calgary that abused me for so very long, they were absolutely directed and affiliated with the shadow government. The shadow government had been involved. These are actual crimes of pushing people and humans through killing games, squid games, hunting games. There's no way I should be here. God has enforced my survival. Through what I teach, it works. Through what I teach is simple. Through what I teach is reestablishing yourself with Source Creator as Source Creator. Nothing and no one will take you off your peg. I am absolute proof of that. And don't let anyone tell you that these lower vibrational cult and coven behaviors and activities are divine. They're not. They mask themselves. Many of these churches and many of these cults and covens mask themselves as religious and all-knowing, but they're actually run as satanic, brainwashing, global hate crimes. These are global organized hate groups for the very elite. And I was the only one to survive. I was the only one. That's why many of these elite people and the shadow government, every single one of them were pulled. And God has absolutely said there's no mercy for many of them. Many of them will not get mercy on any level, especially those that have been in the government positions. I haven't received a penny or a dime. They know that everything has to go to my bank just because of the amount of abuse and the length and duration of abuse, and because I'm homeless. I'm not going to meet up with anybody. Oh my God, give me a break. So everything has to go to my bank. The paperwork and the all of the records that I've asked for, the birth records and the monies have to go to the bank. Like courier checks out to my bank. Again, if it's malevolent, Spirit will make sure that it won't even find me. It'll get lost in the mail. So if people are still, and I know that there's various aspects of the government that have recognized about the abuse that had been going on, about the human testing, human experimenting, and all of those things, and there's going to be shifts of, again, the wealth, the sharing of the wealth or something, whatever it's called, disseminating of the wealth to various people that are ready to go into position. And so that's what, again, authentication of your soul, returning back to source. All that we teach is the most purest, rawest way to maintain, and doesn't matter what outside energy or vibration is being thrown at you, or the church and state, or the families that want you to maintain in their, religious practices. You have to have sovereignty in who you are. And I have, and thank God I did. Thank God I didn't cave. And thank God I had one or two very precious seeds in my garden that believed in me. Nobody else believed in me. And I'm going to talk about it as much as I can, because these people deserve it. These people had been through similar experiences, and there was very few in their lives that absolutely supported them. And I was there for them, and I was there to help teach them and coach them. And I was there for every time they broke down crying. Because nobody in their family and nobody in their church and state supported them. And many of them were systematically abused. So we have to take control now, right? We're doing it right now. We have absolute protection with the galactic federations. We know who we are as multi-vibrational beings. We have such dynamic DNA. So now we're going to walk forward and we're going to start creating beautiful systems that serve the people and get the money to the people. So however and whatever, in whatever way that I'm blessed, I will be creating these new systems for the people, and it will go directly to the people. And we will have healing homes for the homeless. And we will have all of these different aspects of places for children to be, and that are kept safe and out of harm's way. And they will all have food in their belly, right? Because there should be no children on the street. Because again, they were trafficked and there's nowhere else for them to go. They're isolated and they're ostracized. So the family and the society ostracized them, just like what happened in Calgary. They had done everything in their power to throw all of these voices against me and defame me and ostracize me and glamour spell me. And all of these were 100% lies. None of it was true. It was what they were doing. But they wanted to flip the script about their crimes so they could walk away free. While I was sitting homeless, fighting and transmuting energy by the groups of 10s and 20s and 30s and 40s, as you see on my live stream every time they go live, there's 20 and 30 of them signing on. So I have to transmute that energy, and it was just like all lies, all lies, all lies, which is still magic. I still have to transmute it. I don't have any clients rolling in because of all their defamation. That was their intention. If we do enough hate crime on her, if we do enough blasphemy, if we do enough defamation, that's going to stop the money coming in. They were rerouting the money to them. They made a lot of money off of my name and energy. And the elite soul harvesting with the people in entertainment that will be found out as well. There's entertainers that were harvesting off my light in their multi-million-dollar homes while I sat in the fucking street. So now we're saying it's my time. I'm going to rise, and there will be nobody on the planet, and there'll be nobody in creation that will stop it. Spirit will lift me, and there will be many things. So they said, so because of all these energies, right? They're coming out from the time they're coming out, being pulled out. That means that my energy and my core vibration changes. I can feel it. I've been feeling. So I've been doing a lot of work with spirit and source with my energy field. They've been working with me every night. I got goosebumps right now. They're working with my energy field because, like Jesus, because of the energy that I carry, the Christ consciousness and a lot of angelic energy, and because Gaia has gone through so much, again, my path will be proof to all of you that everything we've been teaching is absolutely true, and it's going to benefit you. When you walk forward in such liberations, your fields, right, they start reacting with Gaia in much more pure and refined way, much more substantiated way. So you're going to then authenticate yourself brand new all over again. And so we're going to find lots of really wonderful, special experiences where, you're going to have those wonderful rituals on the land and wonderful things that I can start activating very special portals and sacred spaces on the land for people to do healing and for people to have life come back to the land again, especially back in the Middle East where there's been so much intentional damage and harm done that was absolutely unnecessary. The people have to come out of their preschool mindsets. They have to set everything on the table and stop the war. There should be, at this stage of the game for humanity's evolution, the leaders of such choices will not evolve, and they will remain on Epstein Earth, and they will go into their entropy, which is where they're leading their people. It's devastating. We're in a window right now where humanity can wake up and we can absolutely face everything that has been done, and the leaders have to be liable. These world leaders will be liable, and there will be no mercy given, especially those ones that tune into my show every week and every day, because they do. World leaders tune into my show every day. And their greed and their gluttonous and their egregiousness has been that's all they care about. Moving their weapons back and forth and moving the drugs back and forth and keeping the countries in battle. Why? Because if it keeps the countries in battle, it keeps the money moving. But do they truly want to put money towards healing? Do they truly want to put money towards a light healer that goes around city to city to city teaching higher light wisdoms and intelligences? No, they want to keep the people sick. They want to keep the people buying big pharma. They want to keep the people numb and dumb. Too much power away, exactly. So now what are we doing? We're re-authenticating ourselves. No, I'm gonna create my own. This is my vibration. I work on it every day. I know I'm multidimensional. I know I have celestial alien DNA. I'm gonna re-authenticate myself. I want to start recoding myself to my highest vibration. You do have to recode yourself. You have to recode yourself in the mental patterns. Are you running karmic patterns you know, and you're hanging around low vibrational karmic people, that low vibrational cults and covens and low vibrational government experiences, you know, get out of those environments, right? You get to choose now. And in that authentication, sources is done with me. That's why source will lift me and source will prove through source's actions. I don't have to fight for who I don't have to keep proving myself. That's God's job. God doesn't want me to do that. God says, I am lifting you. I am the giver of all life. This is my job. You know, and every time I want to stand up for, you know, and say, source, you know, I don't want them to do that to you. I don't want them to say mean things about you. I want to protect my daddy, right? I want to protect my father. And father's like, no, I'm going to go in there like a wrecking ball and we're going to prove, you know, father's going to do it father's way. You know, but father knows that that's just me as his loving daughter. I adore the father. You know, I have those visions with the father holding me and protecting me. The father will not allow anything to happen to me. The father is moving time. The father is doing what the father does as an alchemist. The father is the master magician. The father is the master alchemist. Father's moving timelines, whip zap. You don't know what the father's doing. I see what the father's doing. I see the father. The father's making shit happen. There's going to be some profound energetic, and the angels are right behind it. And all the ancestors on my side, my lineage, my ancestors are having a party. They're just like, it'll come out through another channel. It'll come out through another, channeler, you know, because I can't talk about what is in what I've done and what I've gone through. I'm just glad right now that I can be the empress. I've earned it. I can be the empress, and I'm going to sit on my throne, and I'm going to start creating some really great stuff, and hopefully I'll get some tools. And I'm gonna, you know, I'm gonna get some tools and some appropriate experiences, because I don't have any tools. I don't have any stationery, and stationery is my mainstay, right? Again, I need donations. I need the monies brought back to me. I need everything that was taken from me. I need it returned. So anybody that has access, anybody that wants to do that sharing, you will get your credit and your name, you know, given as I do all of my clients that donate to me. And every day I give them thanks, and every day I give them gratitude. Every day I send them angels that are walking with them. And people that give of the purity of heart, they will have that constant protection, right? Because it's how I've survived and made my life a little bit easier when you're living on the fucking streets when there's no reason to. And I cry because I know I see the people that don't have anybody helping them. They don't have anybody fighting for their voices. And many of these people have been forced on the street. And then we have to deal with, again, the despair of the other people and all of their judgments and their discriminations and their lack of knowledge about people that are on the streets. You know, anybody that goes out to the street, do you actually talk to the people that are on the street and how and why they got there? Do you have a number for me, Spirit? 97.3, don't. 97.3 will walk by the homeless. Here the homeless are very, you know, the homeless and the people, you know, that we make, you know, because I'm always in the public, and I'm always talking, and I'm always healing. I'm talking to everybody. You know, I don't sit on the side of the street looking homeless. No, I'm working. I'm in and out of community places. I'm in and out of the community shops. I'm in and out of the community talking about homelessness. I'm saying we gotta change things. How can we get more pantries? How can we get more food sharing? You know, let's start talking and start releasing the stigmas about all of these people that are not taken care of, and the governments are not doing anything to take care of them. And it's just elite, right? The elite are getting more elite, but what's happening right now in the financial systems, people are now showing for the first time that if you don't have food stamps, you don't have these things, the poor get more poor and the elite get more elite. So how are we going to fix systems so that the monies actually go to all peoples? Now, how did it ever get like this? And a lot of it was global corruption, the shadow governments, right from Eisenhower days. We've talked about this. It began in Eisenhower days. It has to be turned around. The US and the North American governments, you need to come together as one, and you need to start acting like big brothers. And you need to start building alliances and building good bridges. Not making these badass deals under the table and trying to take over sacred waters in the Middle East because you're going to bully them. You're going to make good deals because you're going to be higher authority leaders, and you're going to be integrous with morals and ethics, because this is who we are in 5D now. You cannot walk both sides. You cannot speak both sides. You cannot pretend both sides. You cannot pretend to the people that you are a Catholic and then go behind the scenes and be a Satanist and then start killing people and raping people and taking out the organs of innocent children in your basement church. We will call you on it, and I will be in every city. So leaders of every city and those that are in the communities, if you see crime and corruption going on and you do nothing, you are karmically held liable. Do something. If you see animals getting beaten and children getting beaten, do something. This is your collective, because you will be leaders one day. Your children will watch you be leaders one day, and you will be great role models for them, and you will be authenticating yourself. Say, no, I don't care how many come at me. I don't care how many people say this is the way we are. I don't care how many global hate organization groups there are. God will absolutely show each and every one of you, day by day, by hour, by hour, by hour, by hour, by hour, karma for the corruption and the disintegration and the degradation and the taking down of innocent life. You will get your karma. Every sacrifice, every voodoo, every spell, every stupid, stupid deed that is 100% unnecessary in these times of ages. We are in the age of light, dear lighted ones. Every leader around the world, listen up. You have an opportunity one more time before things shift out very drastically to get on the bandwagon of light wisdom's intelligence, teachings, and education and healings. This is the only way through the gates. What you have been doing and how you have been leading is abhorrent, and you will be called, you will be held liable, because you inciting such danger and fear and unnecessary bombings when you can work these things out. Get out of your box religion experiences and your excuses and your historic stories. Stop the fighting. There will be grand revelations in every place where your leaders are consistently and inciting war. You will have karma like never before. And the leaders will know it. It will hit their pockets, it will hit their families, it will hit their health. Time is up. We will no longer run our world in such egregious, barbaric ways. And we have told you, there will be no nuclear warheads, ever. Disseminate those weaponry and put it back to healing. How could it have been otherwise? Because if all of you disarm yourselves, there's no threat. And if all of you are raising your vibration and consciousness of a light intelligence and being higher light intelligent beings, as Commander Ashtar is, there's no threat. You're threatened because you live in the belly of the beast. You live in fear. You live in judgment. You live in misogyny and taking and raping and having. And who did what to who last? These are the lowest vibrations of consciousness. On the planet, you're not intelligent. And you will work it out, leaders. You have certificates and letters behind your names. And you will have no more underground affiliations. You have no more underground trafficking and import-export. We know what you do. We see it. I will call you on it. The monies will go back to the people. The monies will begin to heal the people. The monies will go back to educating the people in higher light, wisdom, intelligence. This is who they are. Nobody had any right keeping it from them. You will not suppress your peoples. Are we understood? And we will build bridges to the highest experience of who we are, multidimensionally, as a species of one. Through disconnection and through error of ways, what have you learned? The highest level of intelligence is what? It's unity. So if your leaders are not promoting peace and unity, what are they promoting? What? And why? They're leading their people into a fast disarray of entropy. And you must ask yourself, if your leaders are not advertising and promoting and bringing money to and peace to and enhancement to and inspiration to and core value teaching to the highest intelligence, then what are they promoting? The protection of their own agendas. And that's all it's ever been. And why you have partisans and Democrats and Republicans? Because they have their agendas. Their agendas should be across the board. You're all human and you're all unified as one. Are you not? Yes or no? Do you all wear a bodysuit of humans? Are you all born here as humans? Are you all on the planet of humans? Do you all drink water to survive? Do you all breathe air to survive? And that's where it ends, because then the separation starts. Do you all have homes? No. Are you all safe? No. Do you all have money? No. Do you all have what you need to survive and be healthy and loving and wise and know that you're cared for and loved and wise and you always have that opportunity for growth and evolution with your source creator? Are you knowing what source creator is? Are you growing with source of a creator? Are you evolving with the rest of the galaxy? Are you evolving with your friends and family? Are you evolving with source creator? Are you evolving with the trees and the nature? No, 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 no. Then what are you doing and why? The only thing that should be important is your evolution. And if you're not, then why? Then you must ask yourself, these leaders are not intelligent. We need to move and shift. And we are, and we will. Therefore, thus then, dear lighted ones, let's take a deep breath. We're going to do an activation of authentication of our new vibrational timelines for Newer Star. And this Newer Star will vibrate in unity consciousness. That is the highest order of intelligence. That's the highest order of our unification throughout all galaxies, throughout all dimensions. For we are at the heart of all that we are. We were born in unity consciousness. We will always be unity consciousness. And those that so desire can take this time right now to unify themselves with Source, to maintain their organic standing with Source, to know that no matter what they face in their outer life, in their reality life, doesn't matter where they are vibration. I don't have a penny to my name, dear people. I don't have a penny to my name. Not a penny. I don't have a penny to my name. There's a lot of money behind the scenes that are in my name, but they're not allowing me to see it. It's all veiled still. But God is going to rip over those veils. Watch God do it in the next couple of days. God will release the veils that have allowed everybody in the world to think that I was under anybody's control and only certain people would be allowed to see me because they're making money off the exploiting of me. They're making money off the suppression and the so-called partial death of me. There are some places where people think that I'm dead and I've been dead for many years. That's what the lies have made people to believe. And therefore, that's then all of these cities will be fully investigated. The receipts will be given and taken and investigated on every receipt going in and out of every practitioner. And the people that are coming forward are the ones that will say, no, I'm going to reclaim my power. I'm going to reclaim my light. I'm going to reclaim all my soul fragments of my energies, my thoughts, my words, and my deeds. I'm going to reclaim all that I am in this moment of now. I'm going to call in my electromagnetic, divine crystalline light breath. I'm going to breathe with the heavens on my contraction and my expansion. My inhale and my exhale. I am the one with Source Creator. I am the one with the essence of love. I am the essence of Sophia. I'm the essence of all that is light, the elixir of light. That is the Spirit. The Spirit is the only quickener. The Spirit is the only connector. The Spirit is the only engager. The Spirit of who we are within our blood and our cells and our body. It is the thing that makes all the other systems within our body listen to each other and connect with each other. That's why you need to speak out loud. Your cells in your body are listening to you. I'm going to reestablish connection with my body and my systems. I'm going to reestablish the connection with who I am within who I am. My higher self, I'm calling you to be the gatekeeper of all that I am with Source Creator. I am grounded within my Earth Star chakra. I'm grounded within all my chakras. My chakras are now open, accepting my highest Creator light. I'm calling in the highest version of who I am, thought, word, and deed. I am now aligned with a new version of me, a new template of me, and I get to code it however I want. Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, sexually, and financially. I get to choose how I will code my new experience. I'm going to authenticate myself with my own coding, and nobody's going to override that code but me and Source, me and God. I got the rights to my destiny. I got the rights to my templates. I got the rights to my codes, and my intellectual property is me. Doesn't that make sense, dear lighted ones? Do you not feel more powerful now? Nobody has access to override you. Nobody has access to handle you. Nobody has access to trade you or take out one or two of your organs and leave you for dead in the street. And then you have the rest of the creative collective ostracizing you and bullying you and projecting and targeting you because they have no idea why you're on the streets. They just haven't been targeted yet. So just wait. All of you that have gone through your time and your era of judgment and putting everybody in their little boxes and not choosing people because they don't look like anybody else that, they might not look like the conformed model or they might not look like the conformed successful person. And you've had to put your judgments and your beliefs aside and you've had to heal. Because your job is to bring a higher vibrational collective of unity consciousness. How could you be a leader of unity consciousness when you're judging those that are beneath you? And are they beneath you? Or are they just haven't been targeted on you yet? Who are you, dear lighted ones? And what have you been led to believe is true?
There's going to be a lot of people stepping aside, and they're going to have their many excuses and their many statements on why they're stepping aside, but make no mistake about it. We want you to take a deep breath in right now as you're authenticating yourself as one with Source, your own purity of intent. It's up to you. Purity of intent, will you align with Source Creator for your highest soul's progression, yes or no? Because in this moment right now, make sure that everything that is happening on this planet and throughout the entire multiverse, everything and everybody's soul blueprint and every timeline and every shift that's happening down to the very quark, it is absolutely God. God provides the breath of breath. God provides your blood moving. God provides all that is. God provides your abundance. God provides the house you live in and the sacred gold seat you sit on. So don't ever think that within a breath, God can suck each and every one of you to wherever you need to be to get your lesson. Because your gold toilets don't matter. Your fancy titles and your roles don't matter. If you're not serving the collective in positive, loving ways and getting the monies to the people where your people need it, and if you're leading your people down these egregious templates and agendas where you're keeping them sick on purpose, and you're moving them into trafficking programs on purpose, and you're having human targeting programs on purpose with military-style attacks, you absolutely deserve the karma that you are getting, and make no doubt about it. It's going to happen in the mind first. And it's going to happen in your pocketbooks. Then you're going to see it unfold in your families. And you're going to feel what you had put many of your collective through, with absolutely not a breath or a drop of a care. These are the times of readjustments. And who will you authenticate yourself to? The Epstein-like leaders of greed and selfishness and sexual trafficking and sexual rings and sexual crime rings and crime lords? Who will you authenticate yourself to? That's your choice. Higher divine, higher order, spiritual law, where you're going to seek spiritual order, spiritual law. You're going to seek it out. What is my highest spiritual order? Connect with your higher self first. My higher self, what is it that I can see, hear, and know today? What is my highest version of my truth and my voice and my words and my deeds? How may I help my collective today? What is the one thing that I can do today that will not only help me and my body and my cells and my life and my destiny, but also help my neighbor? How may I help my neighbor? Am I being inventive and I'm being participatory and I'm being engaging? Am I creating connection? Because everything within me, I'm nothing if I'm not connected. Say it out loud. I choose at this moment right now, multidimensionally, heart, mind, body, spirit, soul, cells, telomeres, everything that is I am, of spirit, in spirit, of spirit. I'm connected. I feel, I sense, I know, I see, I can predict, I can cognate. I am connected. I'm connected to the omnipresent. I'm connected to the intelligent field. I'm connected to the intelligent design I am that I am. This is a statement of intention, dear lighted ones. We are stepping into new territory, and this territory will be designing the threads and the grids you walk on. It is you. Did you not know that? Of course it is. When those masters walk in their vibration, there are flowers and there are animals that cuddle around them. They feel the vibration. This is one that walks in purpose. They walk in a design of who they are. They're not designed like any other. Therefore, their needs and their nourishments are like no other. So have it be that way. Do you know that children on your planet are not being nourished in any way that serves them? And you know that. Your leaders know that. You must be nourished at a soul level, dear lighted ones, or there will be no time at all before you enter into despair. And then you start looking to the distractions to keep you happy. And then you start looking for more distractions and more disconnection because it just pains you so much to be connected in even a moment of what you've missed. Because if you're not connected, then what are you? You're lost. You're never truly lost, but that is the feeling of when people start to go into depression. And they start moving in their monkey mind of a lower karmic energy. Entropy, entropy, entropy. Entropy thoughts, entropy practices, and their disconnection begins. And then there's cults and covens that want to feed off that and manifest off of it. And they do, because we allowed it. We allowed church and state to drive us into disconnection. Country to country is disconnected. You know, look around. How can you see from here on out? Build the bridge of connection. Look within you, do your pathwork every morning, and every night. Reconnect all that you are. Reconnect the feeling of light with your synapses. Reconnect the light with your cells. Reconnect the light with your body. Reconnect the light with your stepping upon the soils, and be in the garden of thine will. Thine will be done, dear lighted ones. This is the heaven's garden. We have brought in these vibrations over the last few days. Take a deep breath and own this within your sacred heart if you so wish. We have brought a little touch of heaven to earth. And that's why you have been feeling the shiftings of the foundations beneath your feet. And you have been seeing and you've been experiencing more of spirit. In however spirit shall move and jaunt you into place and wake you up and jolt you back to awakened state. This is the activity of the heavens. The Father is making the Father thine known. However the Father needs to, through angels, through celestials, through the fairies, through the elementals, through conduits, through messiahs, through messengers, through inventors, through creators, through storytellers. Source works through each and every one of you, and I ask you for one last time, leaders of the countries. It is nothing but a breath for spirit to change your life, upside down and inside out. Make no mistake about who walks with you, in you and of you, and who allows you that breath. Make no mistake, dear lighted ones, your money is nothing. For Source created the opportunities and the downloads and the inspirations for you to gain your money and your access. Make no mistake about what that money is and what it came from. And therefore, thus then, shall we bow in reverence of. Thank you, Holy Divine Creator, Mother, Father, and we are now realigning ourselves to a higher order of ethics and morals. For we understand that through the lands and the soils and all that is life and the birds and the sounds of all the harmonic songs that allow our planet to continue in vibrating of the galactic bedding and galactic harmonics, that we are a family of one. And the Father has spoken in vibrations and tones. And the Father has spoken in a plan and an absolute orchestration that we are moving into higher order, that we are moving in threads of dimension we've never felt before. So allow your fear to be subsided, dear lighted ones, and celebrate. For you've never seen spirit in such a way, have you? You thought the Messiah was going to be in a male body. You thought the Messiah was going to be an exact image of. Guess what I am? I'm just a divine goddess. And I can be this way. Because every one of our children need a role model that's going to stand up and say, I'm not like you. Why don't you be you and I'll be me? And I'm going to be the exact, authentic version of who I am, and I'm never going to complain about it, and I'm never, ever going to come down myself about it. I'm never going to lower myself about it because I don't look like you. I don't act like you. I want to act like you. I get to be me. Doesn't that feel good? And no matter what anybody thinks around me, I'm going to stand up for what I know and what I love. Because I'm making new ground, and I'm going to create vibrations that have never been created before. And you know what? It's going to make my field lighter. And you know why? Because God's going to give me another download to the inventive ideas and the inventive stories and the inventive places and spaces that we will educate higher wisdoms. And that's what's needed on this planet right now. It's coming together in unity and connection. What does unity mean? It means we're connected, dear lighted ones. It means your mind is connected to your heart, and your heart is connected to all your chakras, and all your chakras are connected to your fields. And how are you going to heal all these things if the people out in your collective that are called doctors and administrators and hospitals and psychiatrists and psychologists, if they know nothing about being multidimensional, how are they going to heal you? They're going to pump you full of medicines and Band-Aids. No, we're going to be higher aligned to Source Creator. Source is going to give us the inventiveness. Source is going to give us the tools where we're going to respect and be in balance of these energies and balance of technologies. And we're going to resource ourselves back to Source. We will never be disconnected from Source ever again because we're light. We always have been. We're just going to start educating ourselves in light. And we're going to start being light. We're going to breathe light. And we're going to be youthful. And we're going to be dynamic. And we're going to stop aging. And we're going to stop diseasing. And we're going to stop trafficking. And we're going to stop selling. And we're going to get every person that's on the street, and we're going to get them up. Because we don't know their stories. We don't know how many times they were trafficked and abused and enforced to be on the streets by arrogant, selfish people that thought they had a say over somebody else's life, and they barely made it out alive. How dare anybody judge anybody, because you're next. And then you got to say, if you're not acting in unity, what are you acting in? When you walk by the homeless, you help them out with a cup of coffee, you help them out with a donation. It takes 8 seconds to donate on PayPal. What were your excuses? You don't have time? You don't have money? If you go into your basement and your garages right now, how much of that stuff that you don't use, how much of that stuff is just hoarding and keeping up space? How about y'all get together and you do a garage sale this weekend and you start selling the stuff and you start giving it away that you don't need? Start simplifying your lives, dear lighted ones. It's all taking up energy, taking up space. So there's no excuses, dear lighted ones. The homeless are sitting absolutely homeless, not a penny to their names, and they're barely surviving. And you're sitting on your gold toilets. To them, a toilet is just a gold toilet. And a bed is something really precious. Because every day they wake up and things are missing from beside who they were. And they took 5 minutes to close their eyes. And they took 5 minutes to get the bit of sleep. And the next thing you know, they're waking up and their stuff has been stolen. Because they got nobody protecting them. The leaders don't give a fuck. So we say to you one more time, dear lighted ones. If you're not talking about unity and connection, what are you talking about? If you're not focusing it within your body and pulling light in to connect it all, light will connect everything. Light will connect your intentions. Light will connect your love. Light will connect your thoughts. Light will connect your inventions. Light will connect your family. So what are you doing? Let's stop practicing in light. Let's stop being sourcely, because God will never give up on you. Source will never give up on you. How many times have I said, I don't want to be here, Father? I don't understand why you got me in this way. There doesn't seem to be a lot of love for me here. Can you please, please take me away? Can you please take me away? Now I've got plans for you, daughter. You might not see it now, but one day, some way, you will see it somehow. You will see it somehow. There'll be light in your words and speech, and light in your walk. We will show the heavens in your speech and time on earth. I don't always understand this place, but I'm devoted. Walk with me, dear lighted ones. Your light is needed. Sometimes you might not understand what's going on around you, but just hold true. God's got you, and God's got a bigger story for you, and sometimes you won't know until after the fact. And God's going to show you what a magnificent piece of art you are. And you had to go through a lot of pain and damage and trauma. And you had to pick yourself up so many times out of places you thought, my God, what hell is this? And you see mice running by and rats running by and people trying to steal your stuff. You don't even have it. I've got nothing. You're trying to steal from a woman that's got nothing. And then you go to your bank accounts and you go to your family and all you hear is more lies about what they've been telling people about who you are. And nobody's bothered to come and say, who are you? What's your story? And sometimes I don't understand this place, and I don't understand the hate. But I know my voice matters, and I'll be there for you. I'll lift you up and I'll call you out. I want you to face who you are, because I know all of you are little shining stars. And walk with me in your oneness, and walk with me in your peace. And be a part of this story, connection at least. I love you, dear lighted ones. Will you walk with me? Will you talk with me? If I come to your city, will you bow with me? Will you pray with me? Will you see the city light up in the sky because the light ships love you? And every time I walk, the light ships dance, and they want to dance with you. Will you walk with me, dear lighted ones? Will you connect with me? Will you build connection in your life with your body and the heart and the mind of all that is God? And all that it is, God has blessed you. God has blessed you in so many ways. Thank you, Holy Spirit, for allowing us to remember the deep organization of your tendrils and your gossamer threads through all dimensions and all realms and the elementals and the fairies and the little insects and the little bugs and animals. Thank you for connecting us. There's nothing more meaningful, dear lighted ones, when you write the story of your life and you're writing out the legacy of who you are. And everything you come back to is your connection. Your connection to the pains and the triumphs, and the connection to who you were and who you're going to be, and the connection to what you thought you were, and the connection to who you truly are, and the connection to the ones you've lost and the ones you're going to finally love. There's nothing more profound than your connection, dear lighted ones. Remember who you are. I pray that you remember who you are. The leaders of the countries, may you remember who you are. And may you start connecting your people with love and light and stories that matter. May you start connecting them with healing and monies that they need for their healing, and building bridges to their families that have been put out on the street for no reason. But then your arrogant, disgusting programs of human hate. Where has your greed got you, dear lighted ones? Disconnection and loneliness. May we build the bridges back, and we thank the Father and the Mother and the Celestials and the Galactic Federations for always being at our door. I'm so grateful. I would not be here without my spirit guides. I would not be here without their rebuilding. I'm so grateful that they have forgiven my transgressions when I have yelled out to the skies, I don't understand what's happening. I've been such a special sacred soul, and I don't understand why I'm in this place. But I know that I'm being reorganized, and I'm being recentered to a new position and a new timeline. And I will be here to serve in devotion of all that I am under the Father's plan. I'm always devoted to you, Mother, Father. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, Holy Spirit. That's all I have for today, dear lighted ones. We're going to reorganize ourselves back to the dimensional threads, and never underestimate the plan that the Father has for you. And sometimes the Father's plan for you is not short. The Father's got a Jacob's ladder for you that you can't understand, because your Jacob's ladder comes from the dimensions, it comes from the celestials, it comes from your inventiveness, it comes from your lovingness, it comes from all these things that you've been. And the Father's got a plan for you, and it's not going to be overnight. You got to be okay with that. You got to be okay taking detours. You got to be okay taking time off. You got to be okay taking some time to slow down. I love you guys so much. Thank you. Anybody would like a session, collaboration, would love to donate. I would love donate. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, everybody. And do your donations and make up your pantries. You know, those free food pantries at the end of your streets or in your communities. It's just like a little box of, you know, it's a box that's 2x4, and there's shelves in it. It's got a little door that opens and closes. And you just put the box in with some, you know, recycling bins next to it. And, you know, just have people come and donate, you know, give a little, take a little. Those really help out the communities, and they're so easy to put together. And the people really appreciate them. It's a way to get, you know, free food, or maybe socks and gloves, and especially in the colder seasons. It's really great things you can do for your communities. So, and these can be established really quickly and really without any effort at all. It takes, you know, a couple of guys working on it for a weekend, and they can put 3 or 4 of them in the community, especially this time of year. And of course, there's the food banks and the toy drives, you know, and just recognize that community connection and coming together again is really so important, because it shows your sourceness. Right, your source. That's why Source has the various channels and the various stories of, you know, our black sheep of the family and all of those things that we've had to go through, the ostracization, the isolation, because we're chosen so that we can connect with those that are in the communities going through those exact same things. And I would never change. I would not exchange what I've been through, because I've met the most profound connection with Source. I find it hard to believe if you're a world leader and you've never connected with the homeless. Do the leaders even have stories of the women that are being taken out daily because of men that are just not healed? The rates of abuse of women on this planet are horrible, and the women are leaving this planet as fast as the children. We're going to do better. We're going to do it right this time. We're going to build connection and return to Source. And we're going to do our simple healings. So please bring
bring acknowledgement to the light, wisdom, healings, intelligences, and my work is my work, and I'd appreciate any opportunities for collaborations and for healing. And is there a message for the collective that we'd like to get out just before I leave, if there's a telepathic message for the last few minutes? If there's anybody that would like to ask a telepathic question, and I can answer it from your teams. That's a beautiful question. How do I stay so gentle and smiling and centered? It's my connection with Source. It's connection. I breathe and I feel Source. I breathe and I feel other parts of me that nobody wants to feel. I was thrown away like so many other people are thrown away, just because they were so wounded. It had nothing to do with me. I mean, I'm a beautiful soul. I'm an angel, right? I know my value. I know my worth. But I connect with all those parts on how I was treated in the collective. And I just reconnect it. I reconnect everything that I felt thrown away. And right, you just got to do, you have to be your masterpiece. You have to put those pieces back together. You have to paint where it was taken out. It's a beautiful question. There's going to be lots of beautiful, beautiful shifts in the vibration. But you've got to give that love back to yourself. You've got to build it step by step. And this is where God's going to lift those of us that have been so strong. You know, because we're going to be holding up communities, and we're going to be showing communities how to do it. And there's going to be a lot of sick people in the communities. And we have to show them there is a way. We're not going to go into despair. We won't let our people go into despair. We're going to build a way. Right? And so, dear lighted ones, I love you so very much. I wish you all a beautiful day, and I wish you all beautiful, beautiful weekends. If you do want to get in touch with me, please just reach out to PayPal. It's the only two ways to really contact me right now. Send courier checks if you want to help out to the bank. That's also on my YouTube channel. The addresses are there. Send emails to YouTube to get them to open up my platforms. Would be anything you can do to help out, right? And that's your unity connection. I love you all. I love you all. I love you all. And thank you to my beautiful clients that donate. I love you. I love you. I love you. I say namaste and goodbye. I love you.